Alright, my name is Thomas Johnson, and this is my second speech for our introduction to speaking class. The speech that I have today is to bring awareness to the fact that more and more people are carrying concealed weapons or firearms. And I just hope that my audience today can learn from this and gain knowledge about firearm safety, the legal uses of firearms, and identifying threats and non-threats of firearms in the public. I think it's important to be able to do that for a person's safety. It just seems like more and more people are purchasing firearms for their own personal protection. The rate of people buying firearms, especially handguns, to conceal carry is increasing, and they're doing that mainly because of self-protection and self-preservation. And why people are deciding to carry such a dangerous device, I think they feel that there's more threats today than there has been in the past, and so that's how they're reacting to this. How might this increase in weapons in public affect all of us? Well, I think it does affect all of us. I think it affects our safety, and probably one of the most important things that we as a public can do is to be educated on the safety of firearms and the dangers of them, and how to avoid threats and dangerous situations. So this is a matter of our own personal safety, and it's our own responsibility. And how to appropriately carry a gun in public is important to know and understand, and how to safely handle a gun is important to know and understand. Even if you're not in favor of carrying a weapon, or even in favor of having the right to carry a weapon or own a weapon, it really doesn't matter, because when it's a public thing, you're going to be in the public with people that have chosen to do so, and you're going to have a responsibility to know how to handle that threat, or what's safe and what's unsafe. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. I was raised in a rural community, and having a gun or shooting guns, especially for leisure, for target shooting and that type of thing, was kind of second nature. It was kind of like brushing your teeth almost in the community I grew up in. So I grew up with weapons and guns in the house, and learning how to use them safely, how to be responsible with them, and when was it appropriate and what was inappropriate. And it's just kind of a natural part of my upbringing. So that comes natural a little bit to me, and I've been through a lot of safety classes and been introduced to how to use a weapon safely. And I think that's important, that we all should know that. Handling a gun gives you a better understanding. You have to be careful, though, that you don't become too comfortable, because becoming too comfortable with a gun can be a danger too. There needs to be a certain amount of respect when it comes to handling guns. So even if you have handled guns a lot in your lifetime, it's still important to understand that it can be dangerous, and that there should be a certain respect for them as well. The other thing that I've done is I've been to a concealed carry class that has been very educational for me, learning the legalities of carrying a gun in public and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. It's very important to understand that, not only for someone that chooses to carry a gun in public, but just to be in public where that's happening. And so that is so very important. So whether you agree or disagree with having a gun or carrying a gun in public, or if you're anti-gun or pro-gun, it really doesn't matter, because it's a public issue and it is legal to do so. So there are people in the public that will be doing that. Identifying and avoiding threats is one of the things that we're going to cover today. Another one is just firearm safety. Is how do you properly handle and what kind of behavior is appropriate and inappropriate, and then the inappropriate and appropriate handling of a gun in public, in a public situation, in a public place. How do you identify a threat even in that situation? So first of all, today, identifying and avoiding threats. Be alert in public. I don't know if you've ever noticed somebody. I would recommend against this, but we kind of get distracted with our personal devices, such as our phone or a PDA or whatever it might be, that we're looking down and we're not paying attention to what's going on around us, and sometimes we just kind of zone out of everything that's in our surroundings. And one of the most important things we can do when we're in public is be aware of our surroundings, because we need to identify those threats if there are any. And I would recommend that you do pay attention when you're in public, because there are dangers, especially in our bigger cities around our nation. and just to be aware, but not paranoid. I mean, we don't want to get to the point where we're so paranoid that we have such a fear that we can't operate, because that's the other end of the spectrum that we don't want to go to, and assuming things that shouldn't be assumed. However, it's so important to identify threats. And then what do you do if you see a threat, or there's a threat or a danger that is present? One of the best things that you can do, whether you're carrying a gun or not carrying a gun, is to avoid it. It's just to avoid it altogether. Is to try to get away from it, not look for trouble, but to try to get away from trouble. And one of the problems that we have in doing that is that sometimes we have a set in our mind something we want to do, or a place we want to go, or how we want to go about it, and we have to be willing to change those things. What time of day we may go to certain parts of town, or whatever it might be. Willing to make those changes and to be careful, and that we don't just walk into threats purposely. And then just knowing, what's appropriate behavior and inappropriate behavior when carrying a firearm in public. And just being aware of the legalities of that. You'll not always be able to avoid those that are carrying, because it's legal to carry a firearm. So you could be in a public situation where a firearm is being carried, and you want to be able to identify who is legally carrying and who is not maybe doing something legally with a gun. Because one of the things we don't want to get involved in or mess up, I guess, is that if someone is defending a deadly threat with a firearm, you kind of want to stay out of that situation and not interfere with that, and allow them to do what they're attempting to do. So that's important as well. Appropriate handling of a firearm and the safety of it. I just want to demonstrate with you. I do have a firearm here with me, and I want to show you quickly. All firearms typically have a barrel that ammunition or a bullet can go into, and you want to be able to check that. One of the things is good for you to know is, how do you know if a gun's empty or loaded? This is just a basic thing in safety, and you want to be able to know how to get to the gun and look down the muzzle. Now, and you always want to have a gun pointed in a safe direction. You never want to have a gun pointed at someone, whether it's empty or whether it's loaded or not. You always want to have it pointed in a safe direction. And so, knowing how to operate a gun is so very important, and to be able to check to see if it is loaded or not is important as well. And this gun has a magazine in it as well, and you can pop the magazine and see that it's empty, and this gun is unloaded, but at all times, no matter what, you want to keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. So that's just some safety basics when it comes to handling a weapon that everyone should know, and there's so much more to learn, and there's no way we could do that in the time allowed today. But some of the law that I learned about brandishing a weapon is important as well, and you can't brandish a weapon just to fear, to make someone afraid. And one of the other things that you can't do is do warning shots. You might see this in Hollywood or on the news, and you just can't do that. There's certain things you can't do with a weapon in public, and that will immediately, you'll know it's a threat. So again today, whether you agree or disagree with having a weapon is not really the matter. It's a matter of safety. It's a matter of understanding how weapons operate and what is appropriate and inappropriate handling of a weapon. And I just want to encourage you today to be educated, to get educated, to take a concealed carry class, even if you don't plan on owning a weapon or carrying a weapon, because it'll teach you things about being safe and having safety around you because of all the people that could be carrying weapons. So it's important just to educate yourself and know those things. Thanks.